Welcome to SoMa. Sophie and Marianne invite you to join us in a conversation about topics interesting us and hopefully interesting you as well. Looking forward to a conversation with you all.
Hello, Marianne.
Hi, Sophie. How you doing?
Yeah, good. No, I'm doing good. I'm just think that today we wanted to talk about self-care, and I think it's a great week for me to talk about that because it's so easy to get ourselves ahead of things and forgetting about taking care of ourselves. So, yeah, how is it for you, the self-care part this week?
Well, this week I actually did well because I've been hiking and I've been making hiking a priority. Yeah, just like I want to do this and I need to keep my head space clear to keep my body functioning well. Because, so for just for an example, if you don't, what happens to me? So last week it was raining for a few days and it was cold and I wasn't feeling very energetic and kind of off. So I ended up just not doing much, sitting in the chair and knitting and stuff like that. And then we went hiking and it was really hard. It felt really hard and almost like I'm in danger of hurting myself. So keeping it going is definitely a big part. And it's really easy to go, oh, maybe I shouldn't go hiking today because I have 5,000 projects lined up and each one requires a lot of time. There are definitely times where I'm like, okay, I'm not going to go hike or do yoga or whatever it is I'm planning to do for my health benefit and jump into the project. And every single time it backfires. Either I don't get much done anyways. That happens a lot.
Mm.
I don't have the energy, or my mind is like, oh, now I have time. And then time is gone again.
Yeah.
Some else
Well,
jumped out.
I think you bring a very interesting question that I have also for myself. Self-care is the ability for us to be aware of our personal needs. For example, if you are hungry, you know that you need to eat a little something because then you want to feel weak or tired or hard time to focus. Well, so I just hit the same question a few days ago. When I take care of myself, when is it time for me to let go of something? And when is it time for me just to do it? For example, because sometimes I wake up in the morning and I have so much to do that I don't even have one. If I don't take 1 hour for my yoga practice and meditation, then I can do much more.
Hmm.
And so is it true that I'm going to do much more? Or is it that when I practice 1 hour, my mind is more peaceful and I'm more organized, you
Hmm.
know? And so there is kind of, and it's an open question, right? When is it important for me to let go of activity that I like, but it's too much? When is it time for me just to do it, right? And it's always when I'm ready to let go of something, I'm always asking myself, is it really what you need to let go? And sometimes it's true. For example, Sunday, I was just running from one place to the other. And at 1 p.m. local time in Florida, I have a phone call with my family. It's a joy to be with them. But at the same time, it felt a little overwhelming because I was just on time to have a 10 minutes lunch before I went on the phone call. And then I had to do all the ironing and the cleaning of the house to be on time to sub for a person, a yoga class. And at that time, I said, you know what, Sophie, it's okay. So I sent a little message and I said to my family, I will not be able to make it today. I'm sorry. And then instead of being with them, I just took time, like it took 20 minutes, 25 minutes to have my lunch. And
Hmm.
after my lunch, I was ready. And really more kind of peaceful and say, okay, so now you do your laundry, you do iron your clothes and blah blah blah. And I did all that, and at the end of the day I said, it's too bad because I would love to talk with my brothers and my dad, but at the same time it was a good call for me, good call just to not rush in everything I had to do. So that was a good call, but I can say that sometimes, oh, I'm not going to do my yoga practice in the morning because I will have more time. And it was a bad call
Yeah.
because I was stressed all day long. And anyway, 1 hour more didn't change anything on my schedule.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's an open question. So when is it important for us to let go, and when is it important for us to stick with it?
Right. Right.
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, in your case, I would have let go of the ironing in a heartbeat. I hate to iron.
Yeah, me too. But I remember something that my mother said, if you don't clean your floor for 1 week, it's okay. The week after, you have, instead of half an inch, you have 1 inch of
Yeah.
dust. When you skip your ironing, instead of 2 hours of ironing, you have four or five. And it's true. When I don't, and why do I iron, guys? Because my husband is wearing a shirt to go to work. So
Work. Yeah.
yeah, and that's silly of me, but I don't like to have a t-shirt on me that I didn't iron.
Oh, really? Yeah, I don't iron t-shirts, but I grew up in a household where everything got ironed. Once a
Yeah,
week we had like a big thing where you first wet down the sheets a little bit so they're a little moist
me
again.
too.
And we had
Me
this
too.
big, I don't even know what the English word is for it. It's like a mangel, maybe. It had like a tube going round and round and a half
And then you,
shell of the heated stuff you put on. And I actually liked that. I would iron with that, but I pretty much everything I have to iron, I don't wear very often. Because
yeah, of course, yeah. And so it's not like it takes me, and actually that's weird what I'm going to say, but iron clothes, for me, it's very soothing.
Mhm.
Because actually you don't have to think too much. You have your whatever,
Right.
your t-shirt, your shirt, and then you iron, and there is kind of this great satisfaction that you have something that has no shape at all, and after it's just clean.
Right, right,
So
right.
that's great
Yeah.
instant satisfaction, guys.
Yeah.
So
So maybe it's
yeah,
just that I just don't have a lot of space. So setting at an ironing board always means I have to make
yeah,
space to,
and
it's not set up
yeah.
to just,
And so, and that's the point in self-care. So that made me think of something about self-care. It's a huge thing to take care of ourselves. I think it comes with mindfulness of what is good for us and what is not good for us, right? That being said, when we think about self-care, I think that the mindset is very important, right? Let's say someone say, "Oh, I need to take care of myself, so I'm just going to go to the gym every evening or afternoon, whatever." But that somehow it's a burden to add in their schedule.
Mhm.
Is it self-care? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a really good question because I'm definitely at a place in my life now where I can make that choice because I'm not actively employed. I don't have small children on a regular basis. I have to take care of because, that's a whole different story when you're in a situation where you have, let's say, when your kids are small, it doesn't matter if you're tired or not. You have to be on and you have to function and do whatever it is,
Mm.
right? So
Yeah.
I'm actually coming from a place of great privilege right now. Said I can make priorities and say, I want to go hiking. And like Sunday, yeah, Sunday we went hiking and we did 11 miles of a pretty uh technical, difficult hike. There was a lot of up and down and pretty steep up. and it got hot. And I had plans of doing things in the afternoon, but nothing happened because I was
Mm.
done,
Yeah.
which I can do that now and nothing, bad happens. But if you have, even when my husband was more sick, I would have to be there,
Mm.
so
Mm.
it's definitely not something we always have a choice to do, you know.
True, true, true. But I think at the same times, it's more about how we can change our mindset to do what we have to do with more ease and less obligation, right?
Mm.
So I remember the story of one of my yoga teacher. She said, "Oh, I was uh, talking with this lady who was next to me and said, 'Oh, I had so much to do today. I had to go to the hairdresser, and then I went to the nail salon, and then I had lunch with my friend. I'm so exhausted.'"
And it was all fun
And
stuff she was doing.
and so my teacher said, "Well, if I had time to do all those things, I would have appreciated."
Hmm.
So my point is that the tiny little thing of self-care we do, if we place the correct mindset, it changes the dawn, you know. Uh, I will tell you something weird. For a very long time, I didn't like to go to the hairdresser because I was thinking that I'm losing my time.
Hmm.
Well, you look pretty after the hairdresser, right? But I think you have to drive there, and then you have to wait, and then she has to cut your hair, and so and I realized that it's really depending of me how I go to the hairdresser, if I take it like a self-care aspect or just a chore, you know. So now when I go to the hairdresser and she's here playing with my hair,
Hmm.
enjoy it. Enjoy it. You don't have to say, okay, in 15 minutes I need to be gone because I have other things to do.
Right.
And that really make me think about, wow, self-care start with our state of mind. Do we want to be in the present moment and do what we have to do? Or do we want, but because if you go to a yoga class, say, oh, I'm just going to take care of myself. But during the yoga class, you think that after you have to run to the grocery store and then you have you have a meeting and then, well, then don't go to yoga because you don't enjoy it.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I totally hear what you're saying. Said basically, if we shift our attitude, just many, maybe not everything, but many things can be an act of self-care. I mean, you could even
Yes.
take it to going to the grocery store and looking for the best food to put in your body, for example, or whatever. But that takes a lot of mental discipline to really turn your chores into acts of self-care.
True,
But it can be
true,
done,
true.
right?
Yeah, true. And I can really join you with the grocery store because that's also something that I do every week. And very often I want to rush into the grocery store because I have other things to do.
Mm-hmm.
And now, when I decide to go to the grocery store and say, hey, you know what? You have to pick your apple one after the other. It doesn't take you much more time, you know? I come out of the grocery store more relaxed.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I agree with you. It's a little self-discipline. It's very kind of an attitude that we want to cultivate. But that's something on the long run that is very important because we can say, okay, I want to take care of myself, so I pay attention of my food, and then I'm going to have my 8 hour sleep, and then I'm going to do my hiking or my yoga or whatever. And then by the end of the day, we are so exhausted that we cannot sleep.
Right. Yeah.
So where is the point?
Yep. True, true. But I guess we are coming back to what we have talked about quite a bit is that mindset influences so much how we experience everything. do you remember what's her name? Katie Byron? Were you part of that group?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God. Yes, I love this book.
Yeah. So you want to talk a little bit about it since we are
So
mentioning it and don't just say, oh, we love it and then go
yeah,
on.
so Byron Katie, well, she wrote several books, but the one that probably we read together, it was called Loving What
It is.
Is.
Mm-hmm.
And in this book, she explained that one day she was very depressed and she was taking medication and she was really how we say um, sad and yeah, so she was not feeling good. And she had this revelation that actually she was creating all her own misery in her own mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that if we want to move toward a state of feeling content or moving toward happiness, then we could question what the mind is telling us, right? And so she has 4 questions. The first question is that when we move into something that is a heart experience for us and we have emotion in us, the first question is that, is it true? And then the second question would be, is it really true? Then the third question is, how does it make me feel? And the fourth question is, if that didn't exist, who would that be? I find those 4 questions very interesting when I interact with the world. Like, if I think that, oh, I come late at home, my husband should have cooked a dinner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it true? Is it true that because I'm coming late home, my husband has to cook dinner, right? If I say yes, then I say, is it really true, right? And then if I said, yes, I'm coming back home late, he has to cook dinner, then I move into, how does it make me feel? It makes me feel that he doesn't love me because he doesn't appreciate that I'm working very late and he didn't cook. And then the last question is that, who would that be if I don't believe that?
Mm-hmm.
I would be at peace. And I would go home, cook dinner, and have dinner.
Right.
Right?
And not be
So,
resentful and angry
yeah.
and all of
And
that.
so I just did that in 10 seconds, which with practice, it's really come quickly to me that way now. What I like about this book, and it's how we can help ourselves to shift our attitude. When I go to the hairdresser and say, I don't have time for this. Is it true? Is it true that I don't have time to go to the hairdresser?
Mm-hmm.
No, because I make time
Right.
to go to the hairdresser, right? So stop creating.
Well, yeah, it's like a shift in our attitude. I do have to say that in her book she gives some
Yeah,
example which are very extreme. I think in one of them, like facing somebody who is holding a gun to your head and still feeling. I think I remember said right because I was like, well, most people would not be able to let go of fear and and whatever in this
yeah,
situation, some of but yeah, but I think for like the example you were giving, this is where we really can practice because usually, I mean, there's a lot of different belief systems around here, but I believe that there are big things which can happen to us which we can't do anything
true.
about, like a storm
Yeah,
destroying our house, and that might be difficult to apply this kind of change of attitude, like
yeah,
right away at least. But the examples which usually annoy us the most are like the little interactions
yeah.
in regular
It's
life.
horrific.
Your neighbor parking in the
Yeah,
spot you want to park in, or like stuff
definitely.
like that. Those are definitely something where we can practice not getting annoyed with, which in many ways it is as important in self-care as putting the sesame oil on your body to have smoother skin, because if your mind is constantly angry and aggravated,
Yeah, you
that's
know,
no bueno.
it makes me think when I took the training regarding Ayurveda, they were talking about abhyanga. So abhyanga is when we use oil in the morning to oint the entire body. So you take care of your joint or the skin. You can see this as a different meaning, well, not meaning, but again, a chore or self-care. So I remember that.
Yeah.
So they explain how to do abhyanga. So we go back home, and 1 week later, we come back in the class. And so the teacher said, "So what was your experience with abhyanga?" And there is this girl who raised her hand. I said, "Well, I think I'm doing wrong because when I put the oil on my skin, it's like I'm just rubbing it to be done with it." And she said, "I am missing a point here." And true, because if the action of oiling the body is good because it nourishes all your joint, it nourishes the skin, it helps to clean the lymphatic system. So to remove the toxin of the body, right? It's kind of, oh yeah, it's no brainer. It's very interesting to do abhyanga every single morning, right? But if we do it only because it's good for us, then it's not self-care anymore, right?
Right, right.
But if we do it in appreciating that we take care of ourselves, it's like we're giving ourselves a big hug, right? And personally, I don't practice abhyanga every day because the day I know I'm going to rub my skin, forget about that. So, but the day I said, today I'm going to do abhyanga, so on that day, I really appreciate the movement. And abhyanga doesn't take very long time, I don't know. It's not like I'm rushing into the, I don't know, maybe it takes me 5 to 10 minutes just to do my entire body, right? And I'm not rushing it. I do it with a sense of appreciation of what I am doing, right? And the day I feel that it's going to be a rubbing day, then I don't do it. But
Yeah.
true that again we go always back to how we can make something that is helping us to feel good. Because I think that self-care is not only, getting a massage or going to the in nature, but self-care can be also, you know what, I did a lot today. I just want to sit and read a book. I just
Yeah.
want to sit and watch my garden, or I just want to sit and watch TV, right? Sometimes I watch TV and I say, well, do I want to watch TV or do I want to do something more, I would say, nourishing, right? And I said, no, not today. Today I just want to have some little people running on the screen. And
Little people, yep.
and that's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. That if on that day I just want to watch TV for 1 hour or 2 hours, well, it is as it is. Oh, and self-care come with also another topic is guilt,
Oh.
right? Because sometimes, and particularly when you are talking about young mother or mother with young children, right? We are always, well, so we were on the run all the time. And when we
Right.
were just like, okay, I'm just going to sit, I'm just going to go to, I don't know, to the restaurant with a friend or whatever, we have this guilt that we have so much to do at home that taking care of ourselves is hard. I like to see young mother being mindful of taking care of themselves too, you know. They use the evening to a yoga class, to the gym, or to do something that makes them happy, you know.
But I think with that, another aspect of self care is like what kind of expectations are we putting on ourselves? Because let's say with ironing, right? If you really find ironing enjoyable, then that's an act of self care. But if you hate it every time you do it, then maybe it's a better thing to set yourself up, that you have clothing which does not need to be
Yeah,
ironed. And then
true.
that's the choices you make to set you up in a way that you eliminate this extra hour, two
Yeah.
hours a week.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
doing a task you, or we talked about earlier at a different episode about cooking
Mhm.
and how when you cook with all fresh ingredients and do everything from scratch, which is more time consuming as if you open a can of tomato sauce, for example, to make something with tomatoes, right? So sometimes self-care is also letting go of the high standards we might have for ourselves and say, okay, but today it's okay if I open a can of stewed tomatoes
Yeah,
instead of blanching it and cutting it and
true.
da 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 da.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Yeah, I think that we come back to the idea of balance.
mhm.
What self-care can become a burden, you know?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so it's really about, okay, what is it I need? So I think that to be able to have a real self-care, we have to be mindful of what's going on with us right here, right now, right? Always coming back to
Mhm.
the present moment. You know what? Today, self-care means I'm just going to cook from scratch. But maybe today I'm going just to have pasta and tomato sauce already. I'm good with that.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think being this way help us to digest everything, digest food, but digest experience better, right? So
Mhm.
this weekend I'm going to have a visit in my house. And of course, I want to have my house clean and I want to have my meal prepared and I want to have all that. And I'm looking at the day passing by and I realize that, oh, that I'm going to have so much to do on Thursday and Friday. And so I freaked out. But how can I do what I have to do and take time to do it, right? What is it
Mhm.
I am going to make compromise to go to the grocery store, to clean my house, and at the same time enjoy my time?
But to sad, I also had to mentally adjust a lot by comparing myself to others, right? Because sometimes you go, well, how can, for example, these people always have a clean house and still do this and this and this? And then I realized, oh, they have a house cleaner. So yes,
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
it
And
it is a lot
yeah,
easier.
yeah, and that's true. So it's a little out of topic maybe, but it's still true. Is that if we start to compare ourselves, then you say, "Wow, these people they are so active, and it seems always so relaxed." But is it true? Is it true that they are very relaxed? Is it true that they are very
Mhm.
healthy? We don't know. We don't know. So
Right,
the,
right,
the
right.
best, as you say, is that to focus on what we have to do and do it the best way we can do, and don't compare ourselves to other people because that is the open door. Yeah, to feel,
Not feeling
yeah,
so good about yourself.
absolutely. Guilt and all that. Yeah, yeah, definitely,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And and that really is part of mental self-care because I feel a lot of times, everybody talks about self-care all the time. And it's like use this lotion and use this cream and meditate, which it's all good, right? But how to set up your mindset is also, or maybe even more important than putting the oil on your
Yeah,
body.
yeah, yeah.
So,
That's very fascinating to look at people that there's people that are so, so very active, So those people who are very active, what is the difference in the way that they don't feel overwhelmed and burn out? And the ordinary people that
mhm,
they feel overwhelmed in their life. I think that maybe those people who are super active, they like so much what they do that they don't have the feeling it's a chore. So, for example, I was just thinking that in some way, no, not in some way, it's just the truth. I am so blessed to do everything I want. I write a book, I teach yoga, I do my podcast with you. I have time to do the grocery store and to cook whatever I
mhm.
feel is good for me. I have time to learn about herbs. Hey, I'm not overwhelmed. If I stress, it's just everything is in my mind because I am blessed. I am blessed. I have a loving husband. I should have started with that.
I didn't put it to the front.
So, yeah, I think that the more we like what we do, it's part of self-care. It's not only that, but it's part of the self-care, right? So doing something that pleasant. And so when we work, when we work 8 hours a day in a job that make us miserable, then we have to find something that we are very passionate about to balance it. So for example, I have friends in France. Their work is okay. They have a lot of stress in their work, even though they like what they do. But what keeps them going is that they have activities that they enjoy so much. They go to scuba diving, and they love to scuba dive a lot. And the scuba diving gives them idea to plan their vacation, to go in places when they can scuba dive, right? And that brings balance in their life. So you could say that in their case, their self-care is scuba diving, because they have a
Which
passion
is
for that.
reminds me of when I had my store. I had a lot of international customers and also a lot of people which were kind of new to this country. I don't remember where that person was from. I want to say it was somewhere in Eastern Europe, but I'm not sure, right? And they were saying how it is so stressful in the US that everybody thinks they have to find a job they love. Said back home, you just ended up whatever. If your dad was a butcher, you probably ended up being a butcher and taking over, and that's just what you did. And you didn't expect it to be the thing which gives meaning to your life, or that you just love your job every single minute. Why here is almost a push, like you have to be fulfilled in your job, or it's maybe it's the illusion given to people that everybody can find that, because I don't think that's true that everybody can find it. I think it's an exception that people have made their life work and their passion that it's the same thing. I'm sure it's true for some people, but I don't think it's true for the majority. So you find other ways to find fulfillment in your work by doing it really well, or whatever, or your paycheck, whatever it is, right? But maybe it's also even there as a shift in mental attitude. If you have the expectations that this job is supposed to give you great fulfillment and joy, that might not always be
Pleasure,
possible.
Well, it makes me think also, there is my observation, they are just what they are. But in Europe, you have at least 5 weeks vacation per year, right? Where in United States, if you start with 2 weeks, you're already happy. So it makes the perspective different, because when you have only 2 weeks vacation per year, well, if you really don't like your job and you don't have time to do an activity out of your job that is pleasant, well, it's very hard, right? So now in France, so when I speak about my friend, they have at least 6 weeks vacation, so they can plan stuff. And I heard I don't remember it. I was talking with someone yesterday, yes. And this man, he was living in the United States, and then he moved to Europe because his wife found a job in Europe. And he explained that he was happy to move in Europe for the work balance. There is also, I think that maybe in the United States, it's important to find a job that you really enjoy.
True.
Because when you work all the time. If it's hard in United States, it might be hard to find this work balance, which is self-care, work balance. But it's not easy for everyone to be able to have this work balance. I know people, they work 6 days a week, or I mean,
even more. It's definitely, which is very hard on your body and mind if you just to put food on the table have to work all the time. That's why I'm saying, I mean, you and I really come from great privilege that we have the time to to be
def-
able to sit here and
yeah.
talk and
Yeah,
be
and
in
talk.
awe.
Yeah. Well, and the idea is that if our talk can inspire people
That
just
would be
to
great.
just to
Okay,
think.
be inspired, people.
Those two girls, what are they talking about? So no, but I mean, if thinking about what we do daily, and we can shift our state of mind, and then we can feel a little more relaxed, that's self-care already, right?
For sure.
If we have more time to do something like, getting a massage or going to the gym or going whatever, hiking, then even better. But
Yeah, but
already,
even if we don't have big chunks of time to do that, an easy part to, or maybe it's not that easy, but is to choose really high nutritious food. Get away from super prepared food, like feed your body, take your vitamins. Like I have been struggling with taking my supplements on a regular basis. I just hate pills. So I'm really trying to make it a priority and find ways to bring it down into my body without, yeah. Like I told you about that calcium supplement I'm taking, which just tastes so bad. But I found a way to add lemon juice and ice, and usually I don't drink. Find a way to do that. But I feel like just doing that, or even doing small things to put a little bit more exercise in your life by trying to walk places if you can, or a park far away in a parking lot, not at night, but during the day,
mm,
to have like a little bit of a longer ways to go and just do small things like that. Getting up every hour. If you have a job where you sit down, to just stand up and stretch for a
yeah,
second,
yeah.
right? Like all of those things are definitely things to incorporate to take better care of ourselves. If like the big things like going for an 11-mile hike on Sunday is not something everybody can do, right?
Yeah, I really second everything you said. That it's a huge point, the food, because we don't realize that processed food is really taxing the body. When the body is
Mm-hmm.
taxed, then the liver cannot function correctly, and then that's the beginning of the body shutting down and being
Mm-hmm.
tired and all that. So really, I think that prioritizing food is, whoa, yes, first on the top of the list, right? I second everything you said. We don't need to have big event even once a week or twice a week, but the 10-minute walking from the car to the grocery store, just park a
Mm-hmm.
little further. It remind me also as what our yoga teacher used to say, Sashi, he said that two things. He said that we need to move all the time, not only
Mm-hmm.
once a week. It's better to stretch the body 5 minutes every day than going to the gym once a week. So
Mm-hmm.
that was the first thing he was saying. Another thing that he said, and I loved it, it was the story of one student coming to him and said, "Hey, Sashi, you said that it's important to move the body, but how many times do I need to move my body every week?" And he said, "Well, how many times do you eat? Every time you eat, you need to move, right?" So
Yeah.
I really like this little story because, yeah, if you eat 3 times a day, then you move your body 3 times away the
And
day,
then two
right?
snacks, so that's 5 times.
Yeah.
Actually, there was just recently a study which came out, said even if you exercise every day, it's more impactful on your health. And I think it was done in an office environment where people were sitting all day. So this is not applicable to people which move as part of their
Hmm.
job all the time, right? But people had a better health outcome if they got up every hour and just did 5 minutes of gentle either swaying or walking around, even walking in place, had a better health outcomes than exercising 45 minutes straight every
Hmm.
day.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some to be said to not be in a stagnant position all the time. When I think about, okay, what's healthful, I always think about we are not that different from the hunters and gatherer society in our bodies, right?
Hmm.
And I don't think people used to sit around a lot. You were busy all the time,
Yeah.
looking for things or making things
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
doing
definitely.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just really, it makes sense to me is that just being sedentary makes everything, do you say, go stagnant or shut
No, yeah,
down
no,
or
yeah,
yeah.
stagnant, yes. And the last thing about we try to gather idea about self-care is silence. So you will tell me, well, what that silence? And nobody likes the silence because when you are silent, you hear your thoughts, and that's scary. But but what I think is that if in the morning we can start the day in silence, take the shower without music, without podcast, without the news, eating the break.
Especially without the news. Don't start the day with
Oh
news.
yeah,
I
my
used to do
God. I
that and
know.
I was just like, no,
I
because you
know.
set yourself up with,
And
yeah,
then you are
don't.
pump up and then you are
Yeah.
all over the place, super stressed. And if you can have this moment of silence, make it a little longer and incorporate your breakfast in it. Because we are bombarded every single day, all the time, with information, right? So we have music when we go to the store, there is music in the buildings, there is the chatting of people, there is a phone call, there is the distraction, our own phone with all the notification we receive from who knows what and who don't care, right? So, so I mean, having a moment of silence is just helping us to sort it out, our thought, and find peace. So I think also that more and more people are afraid to be in silence because then we listen to our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And if we have good thoughts, all is good.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have thought, oh, you didn't work well enough, today you have to work 1 more hours, and you didn't finish this project, you have to stay longer. And what is wrong with you? Well, I don't know, but this is type of thought that we have.
So
So
then
you have a
the question is that true comes in, right?
well, I mean, if you can do that, spot on, yeah,
Mhm.
you're good.
Mhm.
But another, if that's really overwhelming, also thought in your silence, repeat a mantra. Anything that help you to feel good. I don't know, sing a song that you like, or repeat to yourself, "All is well. I am beautiful. I am healthy." Whatever, but something. If you are part of any religion, say your own prayer, anything that helps you to stay in the moment, in the silence, without being distracted by the thoughts.
Mhm.
And I think that is huge in self-care.
Yeah. I mean, that's the power of meditation and prayer, which is basically the same thing, is right? Is
Yeah.
that you're shutting off the chattering in your brain and just be present with your breath. That's proven to be very powerful in calming the mind. And the body too, because I think people takes a heart rate. Like once you meditate or pray, your heart rate goes and your blood pressure regulates. So it's not just, oh, I'm shutting up my mind chatter. It actually has a physical benefit from what I have been reading.
And I observe that I wake up early, I do my yoga, my meditation, and then I go and I have breakfast. And usually I am alone. But the rare time I meet someone, we have a company over, so I have to really reprogram myself. I
Mm-hmm.
reprogram myself to be open and to be present and listen to my guests
Mm-hmm.
because I really like to be alone in
Yeah.
the morning.
See that works for you. For me, doing meditation and yoga in the morning does not work very well. If I do that, then I'm tired all day long. So what works for me is to get out and be active, like go for a hike or work in the garden for a while or do something
Mm,
which gets everything going, and then I can do yoga or whatever. But if I do it
mm,
for, I think I tend to have fairly low blood pressure, so it probably has something to do with that I
mm,
need
mm,
to get everything moving.
mm.
So,
Yeah.
it's like we have to figure out what works for
Yeah. Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah. It was not to say, oh, do the same
Right,
thing
right,
as you,
right.
just share my routine because it works for me. So now, I have a question for you. When you wake up in the morning and you get ready for maybe do your hike, are you in silence or do you chat with someone or do you listen to music or podcast?
It depends. Depends. I don't chat
Mm.
with anyone because my husband will be asleep. Like
Mm-hmm.
when we go hiking, I go with my daughter and she picks me up between 6 and 6:30. So,
Oh, yeah, that's early.
yeah. I usually don't sometimes I listen to a podcast or a book if I
Mm-hmm.
have a really interesting book going, but usually no,
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
because,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
sleeping people in the house
Yeah. 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 Of course. Yes.
and then
And
while I'm
another
hiking, I don't listen to anything besides the birds and
good.
yeah,
That is also great self-care.
yeah,
To be in nature and present in nature,
yeah,
that is yeah, this is mindfulness.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I guess that we could say that self-care it relate a lot with mindfulness. Mindfulness of what is, what do we live.
yeah. That sounds like a good ending.
Yes. So let's do some self-care, guys.
And speaking of self-care, if you join us on our Patreon, Explore SoMa podcast, right? Is a Patreon. We do have a yin yoga series,
Yes.
yin in a minute.
I call it yin in a minute. So
Mhm.
it's about not even 10 minutes video where I explain the purpose of the pose and then we practice together. But you can skip directly to practice only the pose. Just 5 minutes, but it's a moment of mindfulness and self-care. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And then also we have different guided meditations and so forth. So if it's difficult to just sit in silence, which it is for a lot of people, you can utilize one of those meditations. So join us on Patreon. Also, we talk and visit and do all kinds of stuff there. So hope to see you there. Okay, Sophie, bye.
Bye bye.